Five, four, three.
Good evening, and welcome to the Reel McCoy. I'm your host, Meffistoe, and always with me, well, sometimes with me, oh my feelings, how are you, sir?
Hey.
Hey, I'm not gonna diss you, okay? It's all good. We all know why you haven't been here for a week here and a week there. Anyway, what is the Reel McCoy, you might ask? The Reel McCoy is your weekly movie podcast where we ask you to go watch a movie, you watch it, come back to us, and we break it down for you, and we swing it from a tree or try to use a sloped roof to shoot at it. Never mind.
Wow. In the 2 weeks I was gone, you still haven't improved that.
No, I have not improved on anything. We asked you to go and watch another Verhoeven classic because July is our Verhoeven month. And we ask you to watch Total Recall from 1990. And to talk to us about it is our good friend Stone Loki. How are you, good sir?
Doing good, man. Doing good. I'd love getting to see this movie again. I got to see it in theaters back in the day, so I am excited. Welcome, see you at the party, Richter.
Let's
do it.
See everybody in the party, Richter, because all the salty nerds from the Salty Nerd podcast have rated the channel. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Paul. Welcome, Penny. Welcome, what you may... Oh, it's DK.
It's DK.
Griffin and Jillian and all the other people who are lurking around and just enjoying the show, not talking. We love you. We love all the lurkers. Right. Total Recall. Kind of a weird experience because All My Feelings said behind the backstage, that you've watched this with your parents at a drive-in. I've watched it on VHS where like maybe a year later. I always at a delay because I couldn't physically go and watch it because it was slapped with an R rating. So I definitely could not go and watch it, especially because my dad was not that kind of a dad. Not for those things, but I did get to watch it a year later on VHS because nobody controlled my rentals, just my mom. But fell in love with it as soon as I watched it. I absolutely love it. It has so many unique things, and we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it right now because it's time for Behind the Screens.
Sound production, take 2.
Behind the Screens is usually where we turn to all my feelings and get the lowdown on everything that is behind the scenes. But today, it's going to be me. The screenplay was actually based on a short story written by Philip K. Dick.
Yeah.
If you know that name, he is attached to Blade Runner and other things. The name of the story is We Can Remember It For You Wholesale. And the story is almost nothing like Total Recall. But Ron Suchet, who actually started developing the script, really liked the story and started to develop it during the sort of mid-70s. That's where it actually started. But he had to take a little bit of a break because if you know the name Ron Suchet, he helped develop the story of Alien, 1979 Alien. And his sort of partner in crime or writing partner, Dan O'Bannon, the guy who actually finalized the screenplay of Alien, helped him with his Total Recall project. But both of them thought, well, this movie is great, but it's very expensive. It's very expensive to make because even the first draft kind of had themes of it that you have to have like special VFX that A, was not there at the time, and B, were tremendously expensive. They were thinking like ILM type stuff that was very expensive at the time.
Get your ass to Mars.
Yeah, there's a lot going on with it. Let's say the final version of it was actually very close to the first draft of it, but it had 45 different iterations. And when the sort of the screenplay was getting going, they attached a guy called Gary Goldman who helped O'Bannon and Suchet kind of finalize the different things. Now, at first, the person who actually bought the screenplay from Suchet and O'Bannon was our friend Dino De Laurentiis, the producer who produced, he produced Dune and other things, and it was shopped around in Hollywood for a while until it got to De Laurentiis, and at first, the first director who was attached to it was David Cronenberg, and the actor playing Quaid, who was Quail at the time, like in the story, was Patrick Swayze, which is an odd thing to think about.
Well, see, I don't see
back,
Swayze
Quill.
in this, but I can see this being a Cronenberg film very easily.
Oh yeah, I can see it too.
So much body horror.
And the thing about it is Quail or Quaid was supposed to be this generic accountant or accounting manager, a scrawny guy, not really what you think about like an Arnold type guy or a James Bond kind of a character. And Arnold have seen the script for a while, so he really liked the script and he really wanted to play the Quaid character. And he went to De Laurentiis and he said, well, I would love to do this. My audio is not synced with this video? Really? Wait a minute.
Oh, Victor. Welcome to the party, Victor.
I don't know. If my audio is not good, then please let me know because it might be like connection issues. So Arnold went to De Laurentiis and said, I want to play this role. And De Laurentiis says, well, your body type doesn't really sit with what I want to do.
I wish the producers of Junior would have thought of that.
Well, so De Laurentiis had a production going that was going to film in Rome, and that kind of fell out. and David Cronenberg kind of fell out of the project. They brought in a different director who started kind of building sets and starting actually making waves into like making the movie happen in Australia. But then De Laurentiis, his company, folded midway through building the sets in Australia. And Arnold went straight to Mario Casar in Carloco Films, and he said, "You have to buy this script." In mere hours, it was bought and paid for. And ever since that point, Arnold, who wasn't, I don't think he had producer credit, but he was definitely had his hand in the pot. Sort of the same way Ryan Reynolds had his hand in Deadpool, but he wasn't really an executive producer or a producer. He was calling the shots. And from this point on, every time the production or something was like budget wise, again, like in front of the studio, that sort of a thing, they went to Arnold, and Arnold was like, "No problem. I would set them straight." Every time it was, well, Schwarzenegger is going to deal with it. And he did.
How many movies needed Arnold just to go, "This is what you're going to do, and you're not going to argue with me because I'm Arnold Schwarzenegger. If you ever want me to do another movie for you again, you will pay for this right now. Do it now."
Arnold, who originally, we talked about this last week, Arnold was originally cast as RoboCop, but they couldn't fit the suit on him. So he kind of dropped out, and they went with Peter Weller and all that stuff. But he really wanted to work with Paul Verhoeven. He liked Paul Verhoeven's style. He liked his directing style specifically. And when he saw RoboCop, he was like, I have to have Verhoeven on my next project. And like I said, he's not a producer, but he went to Mario Casar, and he said, "You have to get Paul Verhoeven on this project because he just gets it." Casar sent, reportedly it was a U-Haul full of scripts, but generally speaking, he sent all 45 different scripts, different drafts to Paul Verhoeven to peruse through. And Verhoeven said, "Well, technically the last one kind of looks like the first one, so we're going to go with that." In terms of casting, Kurtwood Smith, who played Clarence Bartiger in RoboCop, was tapped to play Richter, but he said the two characters are basically looking alike or feeling the same, and he really doesn't want to do it again. Plus, Ronny Cox was the bad guy in this one as well. So it kind of looked like it's sort of the same deal. But of course, he didn't go into the specifics of the script.
I'm glad he didn't. Michael Ironside's like a legend, dude. So to get Michael Ironside to do it, he was great. He was perfect.
Well,
Yeah.
this comes more important what we talk about the film for next week.
Well, technically, Michael Ironside was the first guy Paul Verhoeven wanted to play RoboCop. But he had way too many demands. Non-specifically, he wanted a harem. I didn't mention it last week because I thought it was funny and I couldn't confirm it. But yeah, he wanted, let's just say, bitches leave. He wanted to have bitches stay. But Verhoeven wanted to work with Ironside because he liked his vibe, mainly Scanners, and he liked him in that role. He was like, "I need him in this movie." And he did phenomenally. Sharon Stone and Rachel Ticotin both trained really, really hard for a few months after they got cast for the physical work.
It is really evident in the fact that I know that this is a side point that I know that Stone did a lot of her own stunts.
Yes, she actually had a T-shirt with honorary stunt woman printed on top of it. She got it from the stunt coordinator as well, which is great. Stone was impressed Arnold very much because of her hard work. He actually dubbed her the human Terminator. It's funny because Stone said in an interview that I've seen that when you hit Arnold, it feels like hitting a brick wall going 60 miles an hour, which was hilarious. Um, so it was the entire shoot was scheduled for Australia at first, like I said, with De Laurentiis. But Carloco thought Mexico City would be even better because they had a deal there. They had like huge sound stages there that they could rent for very, very cheap. They actually worked on, what was it? 8 different sound stages, 40 different sets, and they worked for 9 months, 7 days a week to actually build them.
Back when movies were getting made by people who made movies.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and I'm talking just about the sound stages, because if you think about it, most of the movie, like 98% of it is interior. It's all interior. So they also chose Mexico City because some of the buildings they saw on the outside and interior stuff, like in the subway areas, were like heavy concrete looking things, and they thought, well, that's going to be like the mood we wanted, not necessarily the futuristic parts, but the mood we kind of want to capture, and that's why they chose that. Another link to RoboCop is Rob Bottin, who worked on visual effects and puppeteering and makeup. He worked on RoboCop, and he worked on this too. He designed the Quato puppet, which needed 15 different people to puppeteer, and it was actually it was a chest piece that was on. I think he's called Rob Marshall. Can't remember the name. The guy who plays
George. Yeah,
George. Yeah. He had this whole like chest piece on top of him, but in certain moments it is a full-on puppet, so it's not the actor in there. Where was I? There. The design of the alien machine was envisioned by Verhoeven and his design, not costume design, but the set designer. They wanted to have a sort of a nuclear fission kind of a feel where you have the rods sticking into the water getting cooled. And they thought, well, what is this thing going to look like? And they opened up this book of like early century architecture of buildings, but they were standing up. And the rumor is, well, Verhoeven said it. I don't know if it's true. He said that his production designer was annoyed how they could make it work, and he threw it on the floor, and it kind of turned around. The picture of this big, massive towers turned around, and they said, well, that looks nice, and they used that as their inspiration to make those alien machines. Kind of a mishap chance, but we always love those mishap chance. Mm-hmm. In the movie itself, it was the first kind of use of what we know of motion capture and CGI of the subway scene where Arnold comes in and he turns into the skeleton, and they have...
the X-ray scene with the gun?
The X-ray scene, exactly. That X-ray scene was one of the first kind of real uses of real motion capture. And they did it in layers, but at the end of it, the last layer is actually Arnold walking by himself with motion capture balls as we know him today. Of course, it's a rudimentary version of it. Jerry Goldsmith, who did the score, who did the Rambo score and the Star Trek score and all that, said that Total Recall was one of his best scores, even though people kind of commented on the fact that it doesn't have like a main theme to it, or a main hook to it. He said that it doesn't need it because Total Recall was partly dream, partly a reality, and you don't really know which one it is. And it kind of fit with the theme he was going for.
That
Well,
music you hear at the beginning of the movie, that like da-na-na-na-na-na, that resonates for the whole movie. So you hear that throughout like half the dang movie is that little tune that you hear in the beginning when he's dreaming. I would say almost that's the damn main theme that might not play in the opening credits, but that first scene on Mars, you hear that music. You hear it at the beginning. You hear it when he goes to Total Recall. You hear it when they're in the tunnels. You hear it at the end of the movie. It's there playing throughout the movie.
Yeah, I didn't understand the criticism as well because I saw the interview with him and he said, well, people didn't think I was like, people thought I was going all over the place. That's what he said. And I was like, really? I've always heard a cohesive score for that movie, but
it is. Even the stings for action set pieces are unilateral throughout the entire film.
I really didn't understand the criticism.
They have the same kind of chord progression if you pay attention to them. They're like,
well, I'm not a musician.
yeah.
I'm talking as a like I like to listen to soundtracks and movie scores. I love that, and there's always when it really hits and the score kind of connects with the movie. It always makes the movie just a little bit better, just a little bit better. Some movies are like tremendously better, but yeah. Right. So I talked about kind of the fact that from the get-go, Suchet and O'Bannon said this is going to cost like a fortune. Well, it kind of did. The movie budget was $65 million, which in today's version seems like, well, that's for an action movie, really?
It's an episode of The Acolyte.
Oh God! Don't even get me started there. That, but due to inflation, wouldn't that be around what 100?
Wait, I got the numbers. I got the numbers. At the time, it was the second highest like budgeted film after Rambo 3. The budget for today would be $164 million, which is for an action movie is pretty decent. If you think about, well, we have groundbreaking visual effects, and it made 261 million, which is 686 with inflation. So a pretty good haul.
Return on investment. Yeah.
Really good haul. Plus, it had the secondary market, remember, home video, all that stuff, and of course, later on when it hit streaming, it probably did a whole bunch more.
Video games too.
Yeah, video games.
I do believe that this was the highest selling laser disc of all time.
Really? Not Star Wars? Original Star Wars?
No, because original Star Wars had a very limited print on Laserdisc.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because 1990 is like the start of the Laserdisc jazz, and it was for about a couple of years until CDs came out, like in mass consumption.
Well, until they realized that it cost a fortune to produce them, they're like, "Well, we're just gonna make VHS." Yeah.
Well, we're gonna stick to this. We're gonna stick to this. All right, cool. Let's start. You know what? Let's start with the movie, and we'll do the game in a little bit. I want to talk about the themes before we actually start. The theme of, is it a dream or is it a reality? Now, Verhoeven said that he really didn't want you to know, but with a caveat, up until 20 minutes into the movie, that's reality. When he goes into the machine and starts to have that attack, that's where the movie.
That's where there's a divergent split.
That's a diversion, and that's where you're not supposed to know if it's real or is it not real.
They do give you all the answers before he goes out, because before he goes out, they're like, "Oh, blue skies on Mars. Oh, this chick. Oh, he's gonna do this, this, and this, and they're telling you what's gonna happen in the rest of the movie. You just gotta pay attention to what the lab techs are talking about. So if you listen to the lab techs talk while he's going to sleep, they're telling you everything that's about to happen in the movie, along with his own choices of what he wants to happen.
Well,
in his
it also,
illusion.
in a way, you could actually kind of have your suspension of disbelief, because how, again, this comes up on two separate occasions where he just happens to need a bit of information on where to go, and he's on a subway and an ad just plays exactly where he needs to go. Huh.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about those subway ads because in some of Verhoeven's movies, mainly RoboCop and Starship Troopers, there's a bunch of like ads that just cut into the movie.
Yep.
It's very weird in RoboCop. We talked about it where it's sort of like cut and move on. And one of those ads was like this little dinosaur going around and killing everybody, and it ends up being a car ad out of
6,000 SUX.
You mean the 6,000 sucks. It's sort of, people didn't know if the movie actually ended. They just didn't know at the time. In this movie specifically, it's a little bit more toned down, but it is that, we'll call it Verhoevenisms that are still quite there. You mentioned where he just travels through and you see the recall kind of a thing where the advertisement kind of pushes him to actually doing the thing. He goes out and talks to his friends like, do you think it's like fun, or do you think it's fun to do it? And the guy's like immediately, no.
No. Don't do it. I got a friend who was got lobotomized.
But I showed this on screen for a little bit, that it starts off with a dream, and it's basically the starting off point and the ending point are very, very similar, with one simple distinction. At the dream at the start, it kind of ends badly, sort of a nightmare. And at the end, if it is still a dream, it's sort of a happy dream, a sort of a good ending dream. But he wakes up with this.
Yeah. Just as an aside, if you think about it in a way, could that have been the actual true story, in the fact that he is actually still Carl Hauser and he's just brain dead and he's just dreaming this entire scenario?
That's possible too.
That's possible. Like I said, Verhoeven specifically said, you don't know, and more specifically, you don't get an answer, because as the movie ends, and we'll show it later on, as the movie ends, he has the kiss with Melina, but then it doesn't fade into black, it fades into white. That means maybe there's a continuation, because you don't know. Normally movies end with fade to black. Now he ends it with a fade to white. It ends ambiguously. To me,
Did he die? Did he die and he saw the white light?
It didn't.
did he wake up? Did he saw the flashing of, the flashing lights of the table in which he was implanted with this memory? You don't actually know. It just ends in that way, and you're left guessing. You're going out of the theater, or you just, saw it on your TV and you're like, who? You're left wondering, and he wanted you to have that sense of wonder, and it just makes it into your normal, typical kind of run-of-the-mill Arnold Schwarzenegger movie into a actual, he said it in the interview, a thinking man's action movie, which
You're water cooling. You're doing the water cooler thing where you're standing around like we're doing right now, talking about the movie. Oh, was it all a dream? Was it all this? Did he die? It turns it into a discussion instead of it just being another action movie. it's now a discussion that you can have with your friends that you'll have years from now. And you'll argue about, well, was it a dream? What about the guy that comes in and says, oh, you're back at Rico and you're on the table right now and you're having a pulmonary embolism? We don't know. We don't know. That's why it's so cool to talk about.
Well, and again, to that point, Loki, I think a film that we just covered a couple of months ago, Meph, that did this in that same kind of water cooler moment was The Matrix, that just kind of just expanded upon that point.
Yeah, but like a decade before. And it's sort of a weird because you never get to see these kinds of movies, and it's always from these creators like Philip K. Dick, where you have to think of it like sort of layers, where there's the one layer where it's the face of whatever, let's say cake, the layer of the cake on the outside. But as you cut into it, you're just like, oh, there's a different idea going on here. There's a different theme going on here. And it's more than just what you see, more than just you see and you feel, because there's something else going on and you're trying to figure it out. Now, on the face of it, to be fair, when I was 11, I didn't even think about it. I was like, oh, this is an amazing action movie. There's lots of special effects, these puppets going on, people get killed, blown off from left to right. But as you watch it and watch it again, you get to unveil this extra narrative where you're like, no, this is not just an Arnie movie. This is something extra. This is not something special. But it's not like Blade Runner where off the cuff, you know there's something going on. This is like a good action movie, but there's extra things in it. All right, cool. That's good. Now, I want to go a little bit further in the movie. First of all, in terms of technology, and I wanted to get to this because at the start I didn't have it on the screen, but I'll have this on screen. The level of technology, of the level of imagined technology in this movie has gone, maybe not as much as today, but it didn't really predict that much. But the window that is also a screen, which is a flat screen, the hologram where you train with the hologram, not really there, but it is. And along with it is a secretary that on the point of her ballpoint pen have different color in her
nails.
And these little things, these little tiny things just give you that that extra feeling of that sci-fi feeling that we've gone just a little bit beyond where we are right now. Even though there is no mention of, I don't think they mention what time is it, right? We know there's a colony on Mars, but we don't know what.
No, year-wise, no, there's no reference to the year.
Yeah.
Which I particularly like because it doesn't,
Now,
we don't have flying cars, but we do have self-driving.
One thing is mentioned in the Philip K. Dick story, though, is the fact that there is a timeline mentioned. But they removed it from this to keep the ambiguity.
Like I said, I prefer that to not have a definite like timeline because those things.
Because again, like the Jetsons from the 60s, like in 1998.
Yes.
What?
Yeah, or the year 2000. That sort of a thing. If it's limited in time, you probably get to that time and then the movie can kind of get stale, even though, Back to the Future kind of predicted a lot of things, but not really. Not the flying cars.
I still want to know where my jetpack is, man.
Yeah.
Hoverboard. Yeah, give me my hoverboard.
I wanted to discuss this guy because
the
A
salesman.
used car salesman.
Doctor,
Yes.
yes, please talk to me. All my feelings.
Well, I was going to bring him up, and then also the lab assistant.
Cool.
Because Quaid mentions the fact, like, well, what about the guy that was lobotomized? Well, that was a long time ago. See, we perfected things since then, and the lab assistant will like things hardly fuck up around here.
Yeah. It's sort of, it gives maybe not Arnold or Douglas Quaid any sense of relief, or get sort of the jitters, get them out of there. It's the fact that we as audience are already more fearful than Douglas Quaid about him getting his brain scrambled.
Well, and how they're setting up the trip too. I'm just thinking of how modern people are trying to buy into cruise line ships.
Also, the destination. When he's talking to him about the destination, he's like, "Man, you don't want to go to Mars, da 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 blah. And wouldn't you want to go to Saturn?" Like he's trying to sell him a real trip.
Cruise, yeah.
Yeah, like a cruise. You don't want to go to Mars, man. It's like going to Mexico. You want to go to the Bahamas. No, I want to go to Mars. He's like, all right, buddy, Mars. And then he moves into the.
Well, we have this thing called an
special
ego trip.
Yeah, special. Do you want to hear about the special for just a few dollars more? It's like sitting in the line at McDonald's. Would you like to supersize your order? Oh my God! For just 50 cents, we'll give you an extra large fry and extra large drink.
Well, look, you said it perfectly. It's the used car sales.
Yeah.
Pitchfork's like, well, what we can do is, well, we can provide you some extra insurance on the vehicle. We can.
Yeah.
Yep.
What was the old thing they used to do? It was like simonize.
The what?
It's a car lingo term when they sold cars in the US.
Yeah, never mind then.
Yeah. It's basically a whole bunch of bullshit to sell you a whole bunch of shit that you didn't need.
Yep.
And detailing work and stuff.
And then when you go and try and use it, it's like, oh, well, your transmission isn't covered under this warranty of blah, 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 and all this money you spent.
Sorry.
What? Yeah, we're not going to.
Well, all I know is the current scam over here for the past at least 10 years is insurance. No, extra insurance on your appliances.
Oh yeah. No, that's something that's definitely in the States. Yeah.
Oh, and it's does not cover anything. It covers nothing.
Yep.
But yeah. All right.
It covers if they actually if the company that you bought it from directly hires their own people to move it, and they break it on or around your property that day. That's what it covers. Beyond that, no, nothing.
Yeah, but as Douglas Quaid kind of sits into this chair, right? He falls asleep, and the lab technician was like, okay, part of your thing is having like a female companion. And he kind of describes her, and for some reason,
what kind of woman you like? Sleazy.
Yeah,
The mule.
kind of comes up as Melina, which is kind of odd because why would they have Melina's face in the databanks? But okay, we'll leave it at that.
Well, and also as an aside too, before the salesman, the doctor who's giving the pitch of the secret agent ego trip, gives him all of the actual ingredients of that mission. Like, we go to Mars, you're part of this one thing. When people are trying to kill you, you get to stay at a lavish hotel there at the Hilton there, which why would they have a Hilton? Ugh, that makes me feel nauseous. but still, it's all these minor tiny details that happen later in the film where it's like, so it could be all again in his mind.
That's why I brought that up earlier.
Yeah.
Right before he goes out, as he's going to sleep, you hear the tech say key in 1999.8 or something like that. And the guy goes, oh, that's new. Blue skies on Mars.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Kind of predictive too much, maybe. But this is all hindsight, because when you're listening to it, we're like, what are they talking about? Blue skies and Mars? What the hell are they talking about? And as the movie ends, you're like, wait a minute. Wait. Let me get back to the start of the movie and watch this again. Kind of
there.
This whole thing way more interesting. But as we can tell here, she's like, there's something wrong. You should come over. And he's with a client. He's like, later, don't shut up. Don't talk. And like, we haven't implanted him yet. And he goes psychotic. this is the point where we are going to stop and play our game, Missing Marquee. Missing Marquee is where we take 10 posters of movies, have their text written off, we display them, and you guys in the chat and Loki right here will have to guess which movie this is. And ba-boom. Oh, there we go.
Airplane.
Airplane is correct.
Assassins.
Assassins is correct.
Oh God. I never really liked him except for that one. I don't know. Legends of the Fall. That just as a guess.
Definitely not Legends of the Fall.
It's not, but that is a good guess, though. Given the leaves.
It is,
I know that's Winona Ryder and Richard Gere. I do know that, right?
It is. I don't remember if he dies in the movie or she dies in the movie. So it's a sort of a tragic romantic comedy. Oh, there we go. I've seen it in the chat. It is not Autumn's Home. It is Autumn in New York.
Yeah. Dracula. Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Double Jeopardy.
Double Jeopardy is correct.
Oh wow. Oh dude. It's the group. It's the girl group that the band. Why am I thinking Gladys Knight and the Pips? It's not Gladys Knight and the Pips.
Nope.
I know it's not Gladys Knight and the Pips.
It's not Moulin Rouge. No, it is not
No.
Moulin Rouge.
No, it's the name of the band,
Motown,
right?
Old Motown.
It is not Chicago. It stars Beyonce. Jamie Foxx is in the movie. Eddie Murphy's in the movie.
Well, yeah, Griffin's right. The group is the Supremes, but it is
It's the Supreme. It is modeled after the Supremes, but it's not specifically the Supremes.
It's the Supremes in all but name, basically.
Yes.
Devastator's got it. It
It's
is
Dreamgirls.
Dreamgirls.
Dream Girls. Okay. Horrible
This movie's a
Bosses.
lot of fun, and right now, Meth, you know exactly how I'm feeling. Like I love this movie now more than ever right now.
Horrible Bosses.
Yes.
Correct. Horrible Bosses.
Escape from Witch Mountain.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Oh, God damn you, Meth.
I found it. I told you I told you.
Dude.
This is
It's a very, very, very underrated horror film. Very
this
indie.
is a Monkey Jeebus has got it. It
So
is
fucking
the
good.
Babadook.
The Babadook.
Yes.
Nice.
Duke. Yeah.
Dude.
Get his name correctly, and it's basically the name of the movie.
Why am I thinking the guys with the tigers?
No, it is not the guys with the tigers.
No.
It is
I don't know.
modeled after that, kind of.
I never saw it, so if I'd seen it, I'd remember it. But
It's not good. It's not good.
I have not seen it, but I know it's Steve Carell.
It is Steve Carell. It is Jim Carrey, and it's I think it's Steve Buscemi, but I'm not sure.
Oh my God, that is Jim Carrey.
Yes, he
Yeah.
plays a
That took me a moment to get that. He plays like a Chris Angel.
angel kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of liked him in the movie, but I don't like the entire movie.
Siegfried get it, or did Devastator
No,
get
no,
it?
it's
Is it
not
Siegfried?
And it's not Siegfried and Roy. It's modeled after Siegfried and Roy. It's called The Incredible Burt Wonderstone. That's
Yeah, I've
the
never,
movie.
No, never saw it. Mm-mm.
never saw it.
It's not good. It's not good. I mean, it's not as bad as don't watch this ever, but it's sort of a watch once And the thing I enjoyed the most was actually Jim Carrey's portrayal of a Chris Angel kind of a guy. He's really funny in it. The rest of the movie is not funny at all. It's too bad Steve Carell was stuck with that role.
I think that was near like the end of Steve Carell's actually like comedy actor career before he went to more dramatic roles, right? In the Foxcatcher and
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So Quaid, wakes up. The lab techs kind of subdue him. The car salesman, or
you blew my cover.
I'm not Quaid. As they kind of get,
Don't you know you have to let me go? They're gonna kill you out.
they shoot him up.
You idiot! You ruined my cover.
They shoot him up with so many tranquilizer shots. It's insane. But yeah, you never know.
And then you have the next scene from my nightmares as a child. Meth?
What?
Hope you enjoyed the ride.
He
As
wakes
a little kid, and Johnny Cab is terrified the ever loving shit out of me.
Oh, dude. Rob Bottin and his entire crew got an Oscar for this.
Oh, yeah.
entire
They
thing.
deserved it too.
They got it. Not only that, the exterior shots. We're gonna get to that in a bit. But one of the things that the studio wanted to cut away and was left in actually was a lot of the factors that made them get an Oscar. Apart from this thing, where it's the animatronics in this. One of the guys I saw in an interview said that it's one of the last movies that we could have done this without extra CGI to it. From this point on, because CGI was getting into the movies, a lot of things that were like practical sets were starting to fade away because they could have done it with, let's just say, less detailed like miniatures, and they slapped on CGI on top of it that made it a little bit cheaper to do. Again, it's start of the 90s where the computers got more powerful and people got into more CGI stuff. Remember, the guys that made Photoshop actually started with one of the Star Trek movies, the Voyage Home, which was 86, right? Mm-hmm. So it's just the start of. They used it in here. They used it in The Abyss. Not really the same type of special effects, but the same kind of method was used in The Abyss and here, where it was just too costly to do, and it was used very scarcely. But as kind of they showed how they can do it. Remember, 1 year after this is T2, and that whole thing blew up. What you can do with special effects.
Yep.
So he wakes up in a Johnny Cab and he doesn't know what the fuck was going on. And apparently they implanted him with something that made him forget he even went to recall. Because when his friends confront him, right, in the subway.
Harry was like, so how would you trip?
Yeah.
Yeah, to Mars, because you went to recall, right? Well, that's all right. Let's go have a drink. Oh, Harry.
Then, of course, he turns on him and, like, Quaid goes ballistic. Quaid goes, like, super ballistic. And when he goes home, he has to deal with Laurie.
I tell you what, I have no problem going home and dealing with Laurie.
At that time, nobody would mind dealing with Laurie. Well,
but yeah,
he kicks your ass.
Yeah, but you can tie her up. She's all like, you can tie
yeah.
Hey, as she said, you are my favorite assignment.
Now, we all know Paul Verhoeven is kind of a creepy dude. Not when it comes to like hovering over
No,
women. But he's like, oh, I'm European. I don't mind having nude women everywhere. And he actually wanted her to have that first scene in bed with Arnold for her to be topless.
Of course.
She said no, and he didn't press it. At a later interview, he said, well, I got her back because she was in Basic Instinct and she did whatever I told her to do.
Well, and also we're going to talk about that when it comes to next week's film, about how there's a lot of just random topless scenes for no real reason. Co-ed showers, huh?
You were not in like last week in RoboCop, but as Murphy goes into the first OCP station,
Yeah,
woman there getting dressed, she's exposed for it's a second, right? But he wanted to have that futuristic way of thinking about it, where at this point in the future, men and women are getting dressed in front of each other. It's not a big deal. And I think
It's that big shower scene in
Tom Connor mentioned it that he thinks Paul Verhoeven thinks that RoboCop and Starship Troopers were basically the same universe, just at a later date.
So Starship Troopers is later than
RoboCop, but it's the same universe where the sort of over corporatized things kind of leads into what's happening in Starship Troopers, which is
we'll talk about the fascist government too. Which is
we'll talk about
boy, and we're going to talk about book differences next week because.
Yeah, but the thing is,
next week.
Laurie kind of gives away Quaid, and he realizes it, so he knocks her out.
Like, well, you wouldn't shoot me after all we've been through. No, I wouldn't.
Yeah, and he kicks her off, and of course, this is where things kind of get messed up, where we as audience, especially if you've never seen this movie before, you're like, wait, what's going on? Why is she hitting him? What's going on? Why is Harry treating him this way? And then we see Richter coming in with a tracker, kissing Laurie. It's like, you okay, baby? It's like, wait, what is going on?
Well, because it was Helm who even says, like, yeah, are you doing okay, boss? I was like, I don't know how I'd feel about him porking my old lady.
Yeah.
No, she enjoys it.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to get to this, but
that Michael Ironside actually says the thing when he's on the comms with Cohagen. He's like, well, Laurie says he can't remember anything. Yeah, but anytime he could have total recall.
A few minutes, he could have complete total recall.
Yeah. I want to get to this point. The sort of when he escapes, he goes into that CGI moment where, like I said, it's very revolutionary in terms of having it on film and having to do that cut where he jumps through that window to break it, kind of breaking that CGI moment into like realism, and kind of escapes from Richter and all the other guys into a hotel. He escapes through the subway, and then he gets to the hotel, and there's a guy talking to him. It's like, look, I know you don't know me, but you asked me to do this. I'm right here. I'm going to leave this case for you. Come pick it up. I'm going. And before Quaid even gets to ask any questions, he's like, he's out. And I love the fact that by the time he goes downstairs, there's a little old lady. He was like, this is mine. I found it. And Arnold's like, get away from this thing. This is mine.
No, this is mine. It was meant for me. And at the end, when he obviously he could just push this old lady and just break her in half. But she's just like, as he runs away, just fuck you, asshole.
Yeah. I love that. F you, asshole.
One of the things sort of besides the point, I didn't talk about it on the behind the screens, but one of the interesting things about this entire movie is the fact that it has a huge body count and it's got lots of profanities. When this movie had the first cut and sent to the MPAA, it was slapped with an X, which is in today's terms NC-17,
I'm
which
not
is
surprised. Yeah.
a sort of a death knell to any commercial movie when you're talking about wide release and all that stuff. And they went to Verhoeven and they were like, Paul, we need you to cut some of, like, it's seconds, just like in RoboCop. In RoboCop, he had to cut away 45 seconds, and he did it where he was like, I don't want to do it. And they said, well, your contract says you have to deliver an R-rated movie, so tough noogies. And this one, again, Arnold had to go and fight for the few seconds, the very few seconds. There are a few moments. If you guys remember, there's a moment where he takes this steel rod and shoves it into a guy's face.
Yep.
And
Yeah, that's when he's
it.
actually coming out of trying to be turned back into Carl Hauser. Yeah.
Yes, and one of the lab technicians, he shoves it, but you don't see him go into the puppet.
The actual penetration, yeah.
The actual penetration was cut away. It's like a couple of seconds, but you do see him with the entire thing in his face. Just a mere like frame after that. But it's one of those things that it's like even Paul said, I really didn't want to cut away, but the stuff that I cut away wasn't really crucial to the vibe I was going for. It still got a lot of violence, a lot of craziness, and a lot of weird stuff. And they even said to Rob Bottin, it was like, I want you to make it weird. And Rob Bottin was like, really weird? Really, really weird. That's exactly what they wanted from him. And he was like,
do you know who else would have actually would have loved to work on this production, Meph?
Who?
Mr. Mancini.
Oh, that's right.
Could you imagine him working on? Oh God, he would have had a fucking field day.
I think Rob Bottin did a good job.
No, I'm not taking anything away from. I think Bottin did a fantastic job. But could you imagine Mancini and Bottin working together? Oh, it would have been. Practical effects would have been insane.
If you don't know, guys, Rob Bottin, he did work on RoboCop, but before that, he did The Thing. So all the practical effects, all the crazy monsters in The Thing, that's Rob Bottin. That's his forte. He loves to do. He went into puppeteering later, from what I understand. So the replicas of like humans, it started with RoboCop. And it kind of continued on with this because I want to get to that point with the
tracker.
The tracker.
Yeah.
This is, first of all, this is a gnarly fucking scene, right? But the puppeteering was great because even Arnold was like, this is eerily similar to me. This is one of those puppets that later on got onto like Hollywood Planet kind of a thing. That was the level of puppeteering, which was sort of never been done before at this particular level, where it's very, very close to the original, which made this whole scene, which is very visceral. He takes out a whole ball out of his brain. There is that little simulation, that little CGI simulation of how it actually was supposed to happen. And then you see this puppet kind of pulling out this entire ball. And he goes like, Arnold style. I think everybody in the world that imitates Arnold has the moment. Particular moment, and it's so crazy. It kind of
this, and also him on whenever he is actually facing the true atmosphere of Mars.
Yeah,
he does it. He does it in. Doesn't he do it in Conan? He does that. thing in Conan too.
Oh yeah, he does it when he's fighting in the gladiatorial pits when he's first.
Oh, that's
coming up.
right.
Yeah.
Not
Right.
no, not in Destroyer, right?
No, it's in
Because he does it in
Barbarian.
Barbarian and he does it in Destroyer as well. But
Yeah, he doesn't bother him. When he's in the pit, once he's been sold after he's off the like
Oh.
grain thing,
That's
when
right.
he's
that's
fighting in the pits, there's that one where he's getting bit in the neck by that guy.
right. That only means it's time for a good rewatch of Conan the Barbarian.
Oh yeah.
well, you should
Oh, yeah.
watch both of them because they're both
yeah.
fantastic. I
Did
mean,
you get your 4K math?
I can
Conan
get
4K?
any 4K I want if I really want to. If it's out there. If
They're
it's
good. They're good.
I-
We got
I
our copy.
I
It's
didn't
really good.
used to, but there's an option, a legitimate option now for me to get it. I can't really afford to actually buy a whole library of 4K. So I have to rent it.
Pick
but
and
it-
choose. Yeah.
Super duper cheap. Like just to get it, watch it, and then return it. And I can get it and you can return it in like 2 months if you want to. But I don't necessarily get a lot of stuff. I do get stuff so I can have it on playing on the VLC for everybody. I finally found a legitimate way of doing it, which is, always good. Now, I wanted to talk about this because I mentioned the exteriors. All the exterior shots of Mars are completely done with practical effects, combining with a little bit of camera trickery, matte painting, all the stuff that was readily available that has nothing to do with CGI. The camera of there's a camera trickery that today is easily made. I think in the behind the scenes interview that I've seen from the visual effects guys, he said that you can do that effect on your regular PC with a regular run of the mill editing software. Is the fact that it goes from inside of the cart where he drives and then it goes outside into an exterior shot. Everybody knows. I can try and find it a little bit later, but it was made doing a lot of filming on the inside of the cart, filming on the outside of the cart, matching them together, slapping one on top of the other. Then it actually zooms out. So it goes from, there's 3 different stages of which they can do that. And the studio said, why don't you get rid of all the exterior shots? It's too expensive. And the guy who was actually working on it, it was 7 days a week, 5 weeks, 6 weeks in a row just to make these exterior shots happen. He went to Arnold and he was like, Arnold, they wanted me to stop. And he said, I'll take care of it. And he went to the office no. The only sort of cut between, we're on Earth now and we're on Mars now is those exterior shots, including the explosion of the mountain. They wanted to give that up. Even in the De Laurentiis version, they didn't want to have Mars at all. At all. Just inside shots because De Laurentiis wanted to cut corners and he thought it was
wow.
Shocker.
De Laurentiis wanted to cut corners.
Sounds
What
like
a
you're
shock.
dealing with Fox, 90s or early 2000 Fox. No, we're not going to do that. We want to do it on Earth. No, we don't want to have it go to the alien planet. We'll just do it here. No, we'll make a temple underground and do it all inside shots.
As an aside, I wanted to bring up, it does seem though is in the future, all cars are modeled by Elon Musk because they all look like the fucking Cybertruck.
And they all kind of seem bulky and
They're all boxy. They all look like, that, or they just they looked at the DeLorean and just went, that's what we want for everything.
Yeah, I was talking about this particular shot where you see him talk to the guy and he gives him kind of the lowdown.
Because they're like, oh, well, yeah, that's the pyramid I used to mine there until they closed it down because they found alien artifacts in there.
Yeah, and he kind of gets turned around and it kind of zooms out from, I can show it for a fraction. Right? So it goes into like this train model type deal. And again, it's such a tiny portion of the movie, but you got to see the sort of the scale of what Mars is actually like from the outside looking in, which is kind of important, I think.
Also, just as an aside, as when he comes in with with the woman costume,
Yeah.
still don't know why he did it because it made no sense. He could have just been carrying a bomb on him and then just blew it up anyway. But the stakes are there inherently to set up the entire bit where Helm doesn't shoot him later because it would break the dome and they would all get sucked out.
Yeah. To be fair, one of the things that I love is that two reeks where his disguise was failing him, but it actually it's one of those moments where you've never seen it in any other movie before, and you never really seen it in any other movie since, where you have this.
Well, the combination of the practical and the CGI at this point in time, I think it's better than it has been since then, because this is all clearly it's CGI and practical combined together. Because underneath that is a puppet.
It's
And Jim Henson did something similar it wasn't Jim Henson. It was the Jim Henson Creature Creation
production
shop.
company, yeah.
Did something similar on Farscape for the character Scorpius.
Oh,
where this thing would unscrew from his head and he put this cooling rod in and then it would like go back into his head. That little thing that happens where Arnold's ear like shoots out and goes back in, that is very similar to what they did on Farscape.
By the way, this entire rig is a full-on puppet. There is zero CGI in this.
Oh, right, okay.
Zero. And I always thought it had something to do with like a little bit of CGI. Maybe because it went through like 4K enhancements and all that stuff, you might think it is. This is a full-on puppet that sort of that headdress came up. And if you really look, you can actually tell from the back, there is a metal slab that goes up and lifts the entire head as it closes.
Gotcha.
But if you just, like I said, if you just watch it on face value, it's an amazing effect. It's amazing puppeteering. Again, you could tell it's not really Arnold, but it's so close. You're like, you do get to suspend your disbelief.
Well, to be fair, with some of Arnold's acting, him saying 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks would be fitting.
Well, it's the girl actress.
No, it's a joke.
Yeah, I know. One of the things that kind of get revealed is that relationship between Richter, where at this, like up until the point where we meet Cohagen, you get the sense that Richter is in charge, but once he starts talking to Cohagen, even back on Earth, you're like, oh, wait a minute. Okay.
No, Cohagen's the one who's always been in charge. Like you got that directly from like, well, if you were going to kill him, why would I put him on Earth? If I wanted you to kill him, why would I do that?
Yeah, but the fact of the matter is, you know who's in charge and you know it's sort of him doing it, but you don't really know what's going on. But as he talks to Richter, a lot of these details that Quaid doesn't know yet, and he's about to find out, kind of gets known to us as audience, and we know where we kind of stand. And Monkey Jeebus, you said it, that the carts were later used in Babylon 5. I'm not sure it's the actual carts, but the design of them is very similar to the design of the carts in Babylon 5. Pretty sure. So Quaid gets to avoid Richter with the bomb and everything. He gets to his Hilton hotel and he has like an alias. It's Brubaker. He goes in and he looks for a safe, and in the safe he gets this go to Melina
In
or-
Venusville.
yeah,
The last resort in
Venusville.
Venusville.
and he's got a stack of Mars dollars, red.
No,
Red.
the dollars were actually in the suitcase.
The dollars was in the suitcase.
Yeah,
The only
dollars
thing
were
in the safety
suitcase.
deposit box was the crumpled note from himself, like, yeah, go ask for Melina at the last resort.
Yeah, this one. I totally misremembered, and I saw it like 2 days ago. Okay. I can't show that.
No.
Nope. Yeah, you definitely can't show like half of that Venusville scene. Nope. You can't show him meeting Benny, who has how many kids? He's got five
Got
kids.
5 kids to feed.
Yeah. Benny's 5 kids to feed. There's a certain person that I always kid about that. He was on the show a week ago. It made me laugh so hard.
Yeah.
I could
Okay.
use it.
Yeah, I get it.
I learned there's a lot of people I know that have 5 kids for some reason, and they're definitely not like Benny. It sort of fits, but the way, never mind. But the famous doesn't show anything right there, but the girl with 3 boobies. Now, you guys know why she's there? Why 3 boobies? No? Well, I'll tell you after I have this drink. Verhoeven is a creep. And
Wow, really had no idea.
also, there was a rumor that every good sci-fi movie had to have a 3-breasted lady. And Shatner was this close of having a 3-breasted cat lady in The Final Frontier, Star Trek V. But
Hey, would have made it a better movie.
that idea was nixed.
She's
I
in the
don't know.
bar on Star Trek 5.
She
She's
is.
in the bar. Yeah.
But she
You
doesn't
just
have.
don't-
She
She's
don't-
got 3 tits. You
doesn't-
just don't see any nipples.
exactly.
So the nipples are covered up. But she does have three
She
boobs.
does have 3 memories, but you don't get to see them. Shatner wanted you to have nipples on them.
Oh, well, that would have been great.
I know, but it would ruin the but the PG rating.
Rating. Oh yeah.
So Paul Verhoeven took it to the next step. Plus, he couldn't get Sharon Stone to be naked. He couldn't get this girl to be naked either. But you do get that appendix.
Well, I was gonna say too. Also, Benny's hand motion during there, like, I wish I had 3 hands. Like, you're doing fine. Like,
Yeah, you're
I
doing
don't know,
fine.
because he just.
Yeah. The thing is, when she unveils them, they don't necessarily look fake, but as soon as Benny touches them, they do look supremely fake. It kind of takes you off of it, but but we do get to see, not see, but you do get to see Quaid having that interaction with Melina, and Melina calls him Hauser rather than Quaid.
Well,
And-
there's also to the other members that are in the bar, like Tony.
Yeah.
Tony knows that him as Hauser. So like this is all part of it playing into the whole secret agent fantasy where you don't know if it's true or not.
Exactly, because you already know. Wait, in Recall, they already called this entire thing with the rebels and everything. And I want to get 2 steps back. The fact that Quaid has been told about these people with like deformities the fact that it's like cheap air, kind of setting up the fact that why the rebels are actually fighting, because it's sort of it
Yeah, because he's watching the news
hears
reports and everything. Yeah.
things, and yeah, he watches this newscast thing. But as you see Quaid goes into Venusville, he treats the mutants like like regular human beings. He looks past their deformities and he treats them like a regular person.
Yeah, because was it the little girl that walks up to him and
Yeah,
says, like, I can guess you're a Taurus. So very nice. Well, it gives her a tip and everything and pats her on the head, you know.
yeah, and that's one of the things that kind of gives you a glimpse about Quaid or Hauser or that man's character, where I'm not talking about Arnold playing character, but the sort of the moral compass of Quaid / Hauser, the fact that, oh yeah, there's a reason why he wants to help these rebels, because he looks past their deformities into their true, like their basic human rights for basic air and water, because these guys are there, doing a job. They just came in and doing a job. There's a moment where they walk past the sort of the catacombs, and Melina mentions the fact that these are the early settlers and how Cohagen fucked them over, and they've always wanted to get back at him because he's such a dictator right now.
Was it Benny too? Was like, I think one of my ancestors down here.
Yeah. And that's the thing about Benny, that Benny kind of inserts that little bit of a humorous character and puts you at ease.
Well, and also too,
He could be a bad guy.
Well, also no, the double take when it comes to Benny is really kind of perfect, because with the way how even his buddy down on Earth, Harry, was trying to tell him, hey, don't go to Recall because, hey, one of my friends went there and it, nearly lobotomized him. Benny's trying, like, outside of the last resort, going, hey, why don't we go to this other place? It's cheaper. The booze isn't watered down. The ladies are hotter. Come on, come over here.
Yeah, but it really doesn't sway Quaid from his goal, because there's an image in his head of Melina. It's not the fact that it's Venusville, it's the fact that Melina is there.
Well, there's that, and also the note that tells him to, like, he's telling himself, go there.
Yeah. And it's not that, like, yes, himself as Hauser tells him he needs to go there, but everything, remember, it's maybe a dream, maybe a reality. In the dream, he's attached to this character, this Melina female character that he's yearning to talk to, because she's always at the back of his mind. Mm-hmm. And speaking about mind, after he gets away from this bar, he gets to his hotel room, and you see this character,
the actual spokesman for Recall.
Yep.
Yeah, the guy who tells him, look, you may think you're on Mars, but you're actually still strapped to your chair at Recall on Earth, and you have to swallow this pill to wake up from the dream because you have a psychotic break, and we can't wake you up.
And actually, Michael, it's sleazy, not slim.
Yeah.
Easy, demure.
Athletic, demure, voluptuous. How can she be? Never mind. Athletic and voluptuous?
Well, how could she be sleazy and demure? Like,
whatever. And sort of the guy says to him, look, I can prove it. Like, and he points to the door, and Laurie shows up. And Quaid is sort of confused. And it's like, and she says, I've been inserted into your dream fantasy to try and pull you out. You have to listen to your doctor. And he, at one point, I was going to say Arnold, Quaid is confused. So he doesn't know, he kind of loves his wife. He remembers.
But he also has the threat from the guy who was the spokesperson saying, like, well, if you were to shoot me, it would cause, again, a
Yeah,
massive catastrophic
yeah.
failure in your brain, and you'd basically be lobotomized. Like, you go through a full psychotic break. Your mind wouldn't be able to reconcile itself with what is true and what is not, and you'd basically just be a vegetable. So just take this pill, and we're going to bring you out of this, and you go back to your happy life.
What color is the pill?
Yeah.
It's
I was
so
waiting for
good.
you to say it. I was waiting for you to say it.
You saw me. I was looking for it.
I know.
That's the one thing, and I'm not even joking. That's the one thing. I saw this movie so many times in my life, and the color of the pill never ever was like a part of. I was like, it's
Yeah.
a red pill.
Did you also see the exact quote underneath there?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you think, I wonder where the Wachowskis got that reference from.
Mhm.
It's this in Dark City, I'm telling you, man.
Yes,
They stole that
yes,
shit
dude.
wholesale.
Yes, it's this in Dark City. They completely ripped the Matrix from this in Dark City. Yes.
It's so strange that the color of the pill to take you out of the dream world and into reality is the red pill. Oh, see, sometimes doing research on this to do the show, it jazzes me up. Sometimes it's the rewatch that kind of I find something that puts me in a good mood, and sometimes it just combines into something special because I've seen this movie countless times again, and nothing prepared me for this. I was like, holy fucking shitballs. Why the fuck didn't I even think about this before? It's the red pill. And then, of course, he offers the red pill. Douglas puts it in his mouth. And as soon as he puts it in his mouth, he's looking at the guy. And there's a one little sweat thing going on the side of his cheek. And pow, immediately, he's like, he shoots him in the head. And Laurie's like, oh, well, look what you did now. And they literally.
Then poor Mr. Quaid gets his testicles assaulted again.
Yes.
And the guy told him the walls will come crashing down. And what happens? The walls get exploded in and people rush into the room. And it's exactly what he says is going to happen.
Yeah. And this all boils down to Melina comes in. She has this fight with Laurie where Quaid is basically shut down because of the nut shot. And Laurie overpowers Melina, but Quaid gets his hand on a gun. And one of the things that got Sharon Stone cast, and we talked about this when we did the Basic Instinct show, is this particular moment where Laurie, her face is very aggressive with Melina, who's just on the floor. She's about to kill her, and she looks away at Quaid with the gun, and for a fraction of a second, her entire face turns from aggressive into demure, and she goes, "Oh, honey, look, don't shoot me. We're married." And he shoots her in the head, and he's
one of the great one-liners from this movie: "Consider the divorce."
the divorce. And like I said, when Paul Verhoeven saw this, where she turns from aggressive into demure, he was like, "This chick can be Catherine Trammell. This is absolutely great." I've seen this bit specifically for Basic Instinct 5 or 6 times, just this particular bit, and was like, again, one of those things that I've seen countless times, but it makes sense why later on she was cast as Basic Instinct, as Catherine Trammell in Basic Instinct. And this, of course, enrages Richter. Like, he's about to kill a bitch, right? They both get chased off. Benny helps them, and it kind of leads them to Quaid. I love the fact that
Quado?
Quado, not Quaid, Quado. I love this bit where they go into Venusville, they go into this bar, and I don't have the exact moment, but the fact that there's that trap door, and they go in, all the trio, Quaid, Melina, and Benny, kind of hide out into this trap door. They close the door, and suddenly everybody kind of goes into like, oh, this is a regular, this is a regular bar. As Richter kind of bursts in with tons of cops and all that stuff, and it was like, what do you want? But they
if you don't recognize that guy that's standing there, the mutant, that's the same gentleman that plays Hank on Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Great guy, great actor. I think did he die a couple of years ago, right? I'm not sure. I think he died. Chat can tell me. Right, Quato. I think this, and this is the point where,
well, the in between too as well. When Richter finally just snaps, and it was the prostitute with the three married lovely lady of the evening.
She gets it between the eyes.
As one line, and then she turns around and he instantly kills her, and then everybody just turns into gang warfare.
I thought it was between the boobs.
Yeah,
I thought she got it between the boobs.
Well, for my shot, she got shot in the back, but
she got shot. Well, you see,
it went through one of them anyway, Loki, because you got three of them. It's gonna be hard to miss.
But this kind of prompts Cohagen to like, well, shut off the air, let him suffer. Like, give me Quaid, and I'll give you air. And he just shuts off the air. There's a beautiful moment where everybody kind of conjugate into this fan as he kind of slowly turns around and kind of stops. And they understand the severity of what's going on, but they're still rebellious or still sort of supporting the rebels. Right. Quato.
Quaid.
We do have the scene where Benny does reveal the fact that he's also a mutant.
Yeah, when he follows them around, they get stopped by the sort of actual rebels. It was like, oh, I'm with you. And he takes off his arm, and he has that weird little flappy two-fingered kind of an arm. It's like, I'm a mutant too. I'm with you. Because they cannot even fathom the fact that a mutant would turn on them. Because, I mean, what the hell, man?
Yeah, why would you? Because they would just ostracize you as much as they would us. So why would you want to work with them?
Exactly.
Do we have the entire bit where George actually explains basically everything before the meeting with Quado?
Yeah, basically everything. He
explains. And also, again, this also is a callback to this now is what they were referring to in obviously the Rick and Morty episode where everyone has a Quado and all Morty can say is "Open your mind."
Good thing I didn't see Rick and Morty. I didn't watch Rick and Morty. Oh well,
that episode will actually make you laugh because it's Morty is Quado, but all it can say is "Open your mind" in different intonations.
Oh, more puppeteering, yes. 15, as I said, 15 different puppeteers managing just the Quado thing. It's like, I didn't think it would be that many, but every single joint had to be somebody else. They were literally, I saw the picture of it. They were literally sitting in a row. It was like a few guys, few gals, and everyone had this little thing and this little lever, and they all went like this. It's really strange to see.
In a way, Meph, that's how Barf's ears worked in Spaceballs. They had two people controlling that, and one person controlling his tail.
Yeah, I know.
But it was still John Candy underneath wearing all of it the entire time.
Yeah, that was a full body rig he had to wear, and that was heavy.
Yeah, and he hated it.
Oh, he hated it.
But what Quado does is show Quaid what's underneath the Pyramid Mountain. The fact that Cohagen found it, and It's sort of a, it could, I don't think he mentions that it is a solution, but it's a a solution to Mars, is what he said,
Well,
that the aliens left behind.
in a way, it actually does kind of make a lot of sense under Cohagen's idea of what he's actually proposing is the fact that it will cause a global meltdown, because they're proposing the fact that the core of the of Mars is made out of ice, and this will melt the ice. Therefore, the science does not work this way in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
But this is the movie logic.
Yeah.
So it melts. It will melt the ice, and then it will release oxygen into the air. That's what the whole idea is. But if the entire core is made of ice, it could cause a massive catastrophe if the entire core is melted.
Yeah.
Not
Well,
to mention that the air would just float out into space anyway because
Because there's no
doesn't have
atmosphere.
Yeah.
atmosphere to hold.
But for this particular movie, it fits with the narrative. And the one thing that I saw was,
sorry. There's
What?
one thing too.
oh, go ahead.
So go ahead. Well, I was gonna say, all the concept too, when they found it. How old was this again? Was it like 5 million years old?
Yeah, I think originally they were going for tens of thousands of years, but then they went even further out.
So again, there's no proof of concept that this would actually function anyway.
Yeah, well, yeah. The one thing, this whole entire this whole entire elaborate thing of the alien device was a thing that they hammered, one of the last things to be hammered out in the entire movie. Most of the movie was done. They had a problem with that third act. Ron Suchet said it in the interview I saw, was he said we had most of the stuff like hammered out, but we didn't have the alien device up to a very late point. And when by the time the idea came up, it was like, oh, this is easy, and everything kind of fell into place once they had that idea of, oh, the ultimate goal is to have a sort of a second Earth, basically. The entire dream state, all that stuff was all hammered out. They just didn't have that last action scene with the final kind of going out and doing this entire alien sort of angle. And one of the things that got Arnold to do it was that sort of, yes, we are going to Mars. Originally, they didn't even went to Mars. It was all supposed to be interior shots. Maybe we're in Mars, maybe not in Mars.
Yeah.
We don't know.
It wouldn't have worked.
Exactly. That's exactly what Ron Suchet said. It wouldn't have worked if we didn't have the Mars angle, specifically the fact that there's something to fight for. Because otherwise, the rebels are fighting for just air, and you can just remove Cohagen and maybe get a different tyrant to come in or a different ruler to come in, and they could settle out the whole air business with him. But the fact that there's a whole transformation angle to this made it more interesting and way more sci-fi than your typical just a dream state scenario.
True. Mike, that is a very, very good point, but also very cruel. Because
What?
Mac and Me is a terrible movie.
Okay. So of course Benny turns on everybody, turns on Quado.
What about the kids? You got me.
Yeah,
I
I got
ain't even
four-
married.
I got 4 kids to feed. What happened to number 5?
And the mask kind of comes off, and Quaid and Melina are going to basically the same type of chairs.
Well, Quado does tell him before he dies, before he gets killed, to
Yeah.
Quaid, start the reactor.
Yeah.
That's the important thing. Yeah.
And this is where Cohagen kind of pulls.
It's Hauser's like Schwarzenegger playing as Hauser the entire time going, yeah, buddy.
Yeah, I want me back. You have my body and I want me back. So it's time to go under the machine. And Cohagen is being an extra ass. It was like, yeah, make her his like slave or whatever. His wife. Not really
Make
wife.
her demure.
Yeah.
Apparently, he just learned that adjective the other day.
And for some reason, they have the same recall machines as back on Earth. Because why
Well,
not?
see, this one, I could. This actually does make sense
Mm.
because of the fact that how else would they have mind wiped Hauser and then sent him to Earth?
Yep.
Well, to me, it was always like, did they own the Recall Corporation?
Yes.
It's like,
Well, they could have actually owned it, or they could have a major stake in it because they did get the spokesperson for the entire company up there, lickety split.
yeah, it was always like, to me, always kind of a contention moment.
Oh, also, have they developed some kind of sublight travel?
Uh,
The trinium. Okay, so the trinium that's in the mine, that's what they use the trinium for. Trinium is now the most like expensive. Gold doesn't matter, silver doesn't matter, none of that matters. The trinium that's in the mine matters. That's why Cohagen can do whatever he wants to and get away with whatever.
turbinium,
Turbinium, yes, thank you.
because turbo.
Hey, all I'm saying, it's better than unobtainium. Come on.
Yeah.
Griffin says, actually, the same recall machines makes levels of sense because now it makes you question what if it was what if this was real because they were the files of Cohagen already in these machines. Yes, I know. To me, it was always weird that it was the same exact machines. That's
But then
the whole deal.
Also, again, we go on the concept of if it was just a dream the entire time, it's him implanting that entire process in his brain, explaining how they would turn him back if he was supposed to be this double agent the entire time.
Yeah.
It fills in the fantasy that was actually in the recall program.
Yeah, and the thing is, once Quaid and Melina escaped because Cohagen left, Richter left, everybody left.
They always have that evil villain dialogue where it's just like, well, again, the best one is obviously was it Dr. No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Oh, that's Goldfinger.
Goldfinger. But okay.
I don't know Bond.
Do you expect me to talk, Goldfinger? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Oh, dude. It's so strange because I saw Austin Powers yesterday with my kids.
We were talking about why don't we just shoot him right now, Dad? We can do it together. Come on, bang, bang, bang.
Exactly.
No, that's not how this works. Like, all I want is sharks with freaking laser beams on their heads.
We must put him in an easily escapable situation where he should be dead, but is not. Yeah.
What? What's the problem? But as soon as Melina and Quaid escape, back to this movie, Cohagen is like, okay, fine. He calls Richter.
It's about goddamn time.
Goddamn time. It's like, I'm gonna kill this bitch. And remember, he just killed Laurie, his main squeeze, we'll call it. And he's about to roll. And with that, we'll play our second game of the night. It is called Screen Fighter.
Round 1, fight.
Screen Fighter is where we take two movies, pit them together, and see which one is the best one. If there's no discernible difference between the two, both of them are good, both of them are bad, we fall into our criteria, which is Saturday evening, Friday evening, out with the boys, out with the girls, out with your significant other, two movies in a vacuum. Which one will we pop in? Chat participation is most welcome.
Oh, this is so easy.
I Love You, Man, or Psycho the Remake.
Psycho 1998.
This is the Vince Vaughn and Heish
Yes.
Psycho.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Psycho 1998.
All right. Reason?
I- honestly, I know a bunch of people will probably be like, "What?" I'm not a big Paul Rudd fan. I thought he was okay as Ant-Man. I accepted it, but I'm not a big Paul Rudd fan. I don't like. I am very very picky about my rom-coms. I have like a handful that I will watch again. So I've seen Psycho a couple of times. It's not the best, remake, but remakes never are. But for a remake, it's okay.
All right. Feelings?
Why do you think it was the first film I put in Best Friends Month? Loki? I agree with you. I think Psycho 98 kind of gets a bad rap because I think Vince Vaughn actually does a very, very good job in that film. The portrayal of it's a little bit off, but it's supposed to be off kilter. But the end, the finale scene where he's actually having that psychotic break is Norman Bates when he's actually captured. Vince Vaughn does a very, very, very good job in that scene, particularly. But it has to be "I Love You, Man."
To me, it's I Love You, Man. I don't like the remake. It's basically shot for shot the original Psycho. I just prefer I Love You, Man. And Victor Fontaine asked a very good question. Is neither a choice? No. You have to pick one. That's the whole point of the game. Major League or The Exorcist?
Oh wow.
Tough choices.
I'm gonna have to go with The Exorcist. I love Major League. It's my favorite baseball movie of all time. But I'm gonna have to go with The Exorcist. What they did in that movie, far and away, has left echoes in horror movies and exorcism movies, and yeah. So
All right. Feelings?
The Exorcist. It's hands down one of the greatest horror films ever made.
I would also go with The Exorcist. I'm not a horror guy. Really, I'm not. I've recently watched Major League, and it's really fucking good, both as a comedy and as a baseball movie, which it's not necessarily the same because Bad News Bears is a comedy, but it's also a baseball movie. But it's more of a comedy rather than a full-on baseball movie to me.
We can say the same thing with like Angels in the Outfield. It's a kids movie, and then it's also a baseball film.
Yeah, but The Exorcist is far and away a better movie. I really, again, not being a horror fan, The Exorcist is much better. And now, of the two, I would probably watch The Exorcist on face value. Just these are two movies in a vacuum.
Your brother sucks cocks in hell.
Chat would love to see Major League, I guess. Lethal Weapon 3 or A Bug's Life?
Lethal Weapon 3. Easy.
Feelings?
It's not my favorite of the Lethal Weapons, but definitely 3 over. Oh, God, Bug's Life's really bad.
Okay.
Oh God.
God. Yeah. Oh boy. Let's go.
All right.
Mallrats.
Hey,
Rats or Mom.
Loki.
Yeah.
Would you like a chocolate covered pretzel?
Oh no. No, thank you. You can hand that one to Mephisto.
Oh hell.
Mallrats.
Mallrats.
Mallrats. Definitely Mallrats. I want the chick with the double nipple.
Oh, by the way, R.I.P. Shannon Doherty this weekend.
Yeah.
This week. Holy shit.
That's crazy.
Robots or Priest?
Never seen either one of them.
Really?
Priest is actually a lot of fun, but go ahead and go ahead and recycle that one.
I've actually seen Priest 4 or 5 months ago, I think. I remembered it fondly. Carl Urban does a great job in it.
Carl Urban's good in it, and also what is his
rest
name?
are like
the titular actor, the main protagonist is
Yeah, Paul Bettany is not.
Paul Bettany. Yeah,
It's not
Super Troopers, easy.
Super Troopers.
Super
on.
Troopers.
Yeah.
Easy. Wow, easy choices. The Bodyguard or Weekend at Bernie's.
Holy shit.
And no.
And I will always choose the other movie.
50 Shades of Grey.
Resident Evil, even
Yeah,
though
this
that's
is
a
done.
shit, even though that's a dog shit horror movie, we'll go with Resident Evil. My wife loves
it's
those
also-
movies, but I thought I couldn't stand the Resident Evil movies. But yeah, even that over 50 Shades of Grey.
I would say the Resident Evil, the first one, at least kind of kept true to the narrative.
It kind of did.
How the Umbrella facility was underneath the mansion, so like it kind of tied together a little bit. And also the soundtrack was just like, if you liked rap rock in the late '90s, early 2000s, oh my god, that soundtrack was for you.
You and me, all my feelings, have a really good friend from Holland who
Yeah,
loves the
Yeah.
entire series of
All
Resident Evil.
Still
and-
have no idea how the hell he loves every single one of those movies, Loki.
Yes,
And it's
every
nuts.
single one. I would go Resident Evil. I don't like 50 Shades of Grey. Godzilla 2000 and Hercules.
Godzilla
That's a
2000.
way better poster for Godzilla than it deserves.
Okay.
So if anybody remembers, one of the really cool things about that movie when it came to the United States, it's called Godzilla 2000, was that they had in the trailer, they had Rob Zombie's Super Beast as the music in the trailer. And the reason why they chose that is because no one liked the design of the 97 American Godzilla. So to have him back, you know, and to have that song going, I'm the one that you wanted, I'm the Super Beast. Bravo. So yeah, Godzilla 2000.
Feelings?
The only thing that I like about Hercules is Paul actually nailed it on the head. James Wood as Hades saved that entire fucking movie. But I would still probably watch Godzilla.
I was about to say the same as Paul wrote The Thing.
Yeah.
James Woods as Hades in Hercules is the only good thing about this movie.
Yep.
I'm not a Godzilla fan. I would definitely watch Godzilla 2000. Right.
Are you becoming one now after you saw -1?
Oh man, Godzilla -1 is
One
so
is so fucking good.
good.
Oh, that movie's so fucking
I've seen it
good.
3 times already. I've never seen a Godzilla movie 3 times. Holy shit, that movie's good. Invasion of the Body Snatchers, by the way, Sutherland, RIP,
Yeah.
and Monsters Inc. I think,
Now,
you know what? I'll start. Monsters Inc. is one of the better Pixar movies.
definitely.
I absolutely loved the John Goodman, Billy Crystal combination. I thought it worked really well. I think I'm going to pick Monsters Inc. I'm not a Disney guy. I'm not really a Pixar guy. I didn't like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Not because
It's a
it's
remake.
horror movie. I know it's a really good horror movie. I didn't like it personally.
It's one of the best horror films ever made.
I know. See, this is the moment where I go back and review it and say it was amazing, but we'll see.
Yeah.
October.
Loki?
I'll go with Invasion of the Body Snatchers. But I agree with everything Meffistoe said about Monsters Inc. Billy Crystal and John Goodman, absolutely wonderful movie. But I'm still going to go with Body Snatchers.
I'm definitely also going to go with Body Snatchers as well, even though I agree with your sentiments on that. And again, when it comes to what kind of audience, if we had a different guest, Meph, they probably would say Monsters Inc.
You never
'Cause I
know.
think, Loki, you're more of a horror fan too, right?
I
So,
do
like,
love my
That's
70s.
probably
80s
why
horror.
it'd be like, yeah, there's a big differential there between the audience, you know.
The thing about this whole game, and we've said it numerous times, it's so weird that it could be a different guest. It could be sort of like, oh, I got up on the right side of the bed this morning, so I would go with Major Lee rather than The Exorcist. It's sort of it's really hard to capture a mood because we always say sort of a Friday evening, Saturday evening, but it could be like a Wednesday. What are you going to put on Wednesday night? Because I don't know, there's nothing to watch on TV. There's nothing to watch on the fucking streaming service. What are you going to put on? Well, I probably put on Major League rather than The Exorcist, because why the hell not? It's very much depending on the mood.
Yep.
But in some movies, you're like, yes, Mallrats. Immediately, you're going to know you're going to put this on and not that on. And that's the whole fun.
Well, again, also, anything against 50 Shades of Grey? Yeah, I'm watching the other film. Sorry.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, it's sort of a weird thing, because the one thing that came up today, I think it was today. Yeah, today. I got up this morning and I was like, okay, what movies came out today in July 20th? And I went to 1984. Which two movies came out today in 1984? Do you know? You don't know. It's The Never-Ending Story.
Yep.
And The Revenge of the Nerds. Which one from those two are you going to pick?
That's a difficult one.
And the problem is, hindsight is 2020, because you're like, oh, I really like Never-Ending Story, maybe in a time of my life, or I watch it with a specific person. But I really like Revenge of the Nerds because it's crass, crude, and crazy, but it's so out there. I absolutely love it. It's so hard to pick. It's so hard to pick. And this is why the whole game exists.
Well, again, another reason why 84 was the best year of films ever.
You know that scene in Spaceballs where the guy's like, no, not that. Yes, that. Right? My ex, the woman I was dating before I met Eris, right before Valentine's Day, comes to me and is like, we can go and do whatever I want to for Valentine's Day. I said, yeah, sure, no problem. We're going to do whatever you want. She pulls out 2 tickets to see 50 Shades of Grey, the second movie, and the last movie, because they were having a 3-movie marathon at B&B Theaters for the release of whatever the hell name of the last movie was. So you got to watch all 3 movies back to back.
And all you're thinking of is right now the one line from was it Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade? You chose poorly.
Yeah.
And the first thought was no, not that.
Yes, that.
Yes, that.
Beautiful. All right. So Melina and Quaid run away, and they're trying to get to the alien device. There's a whole moment where Benny is trying to kill him off with the sort of a mining machine.
Yeah.
Quaid. And this is where the whole Arnold thing came in to fruition, where he turned Quaid from this mild-mannered accountant into this construction worker. And because it was a construction worker, it was not only believable in terms of the size of Arnold, is the fact that he needed to actually use a drill device to actually punch through and kill Benny, because it also fits with his character.
But he could understand how the equipment worked, so he knew that if he cut the hydraulic line, it would stop actually functioning properly.
And of course, he's got an Arnold pun in there and be like, screw you with the drill.
See, we're going to talk about puns in a second, because he had a pun when he killed Lori, and then he had a pun when he killed Benny, but they didn't have a pun with Richter.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. See you at the party, Richter.
Yeah.
It's not really a pun.
The whole point of that pun is not really a pun. It's the fact that they told Quaid when he was in the chair that...
Yeah, we'll see you at the party. Yeah, I know. All I'm saying is when they're going up the lift, I'll go ahead and just say the point now. When they're going up the lift and it basically just rips Richter's arms off, why did he say like, oh, now Richter, looks like you have been disarmed?
Oh, you... I like the fact that there's a moment, not this particular moment because it's really hard to capture. The fact that he goes into it's a full on set that they built here, and it's incredible. These pylons, it just gives you the scale of how big these just one rod is, and he goes into this place as with the sort of the hologram thing, and everybody shoots at it, and he laughs. And later on, he goes into the middle of this thing. There's three cops surrounding him. They don't immediately shoot. He just has the same laugh.
Because,
He's like, "Oh,
do you think it's
Quaid?"
the real Quaid? It is.
And he just mows them all down. It's so nice little setup and payoff.
Well, the setup was originally before when he actually got the watch from the suitcase and he tested it out and he couldn't figure out what the hell because he shot at his own.
Yeah, he shot at his own.
Shadow.
Yeah.
Shadow. Yeah.
Where is it? No, never mind. And then when he meets a sort of like final boss moment, this shot is crazy.
Well,
Yes,
first and
all
foremost,
that.
it made no sense with Cohagen's threat saying, well, I have this, I could detonate this, and I could be home and by time to have cornflakes. Like, if you're gonna blow this up, you're gonna die too. I don't get your threat, Cohagen. I don't get it, man.
It's so weird because I know you. I know exactly what you did with your head as soon as you said.
Yeah.
It's that final moment where Cohagen kind of surprise. I've always been in this chamber waiting for you. Kind of a moment. It's
Which
like,
again plays more into this, and then what happens afterward plays into the concept of it, that it is a dream. Because like, well, how would he also get down there with Richter?
yeah,
Because
well,
Richter was already on them, but how did Cohagen get there? Because why would Cohagen go there if he sent Richter after them?
exactly, because Cohagen was waiting in his office when he sent Richter to kill him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kind of,
Because remember, he still has a party.
yeah. But the moment where they activate the machine, it kind of blows a hole somewhere and it sucks them all out. It kind of
Well, because Cohagen activates the bomb.
Yeah.
the bomb, but
Wade grabs it and
Wade
throws
grabs
it, and it
throws it away and
blows the dome.
explodes.
Yeah.
And it sucks. It's first of all, it sucks fucking
Cohagen.
Cohagen. It sucks Cohagen out, and we see him get basically
Urged.
decompressed, I would say. And it harkens back to the start of the movie where Quaid dreams about having his face mask coming off and him being, decompressed as well. And they start, and as soon as he activates the machine, Melina kind of falls off. Quaid runs after her, trying to
No,
save
Quaid actually gets sucked out, and then Melina gets sucked out after it.
Okay,
Yeah.
I guess. As
Somehow they fall, they both fly out, but they land next to each other.
movie magic.
Movie magic.
Yeah.
I love
Then we
movie
have
magic.
we have the molten the volcano scene, which this again we talked about the science doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yes.
But also the oxygen suddenly could actually just expand around the entire globe in order to make it so it's an actually efficient way to breathable air.
It would all just leave the atmosphere.
Yeah, it was
Mars doesn't have a thick enough atmosphere to
Atmosphere to-
hold that level of oxygen in it. So it
To
just bleed
quote
out into space.
Verhoeven, I wanted a big explosion and I wanted it to look good. Point end of discussion.
Okay.
We wanted this whole air, the sort of like a pyroclastic flow kind of a thing, where it literally shatters the window in Venusville. Giving these people air, and B, having that sort of an awe moment where it looks like it's gonna suck everybody out, but in fact, it just revives everybody and kind of giving them that awe moment of what is going on, what's been happening.
Well, there was also that it was subcut with the other scene where the diners in that one restaurant that was outside of the Hilton where he was staying that was not in Venusville, where that all the glass breaks there where they were eating, and then they're like, well, they should all just be freaking the fuck out because they're gonna die.
Yeah.
That's what they would assume, but then they're like, oh, we're good, I'm good. Oh man, I got glass in my salad.
That's the least of your problems. And it all ends up in here where Quaid kind of asks her, is it a dream? This is all coming back around to, wait, was this just a dream? And then it fades into white.
Well, no, because she says, well, if it's a dream, well, you better kiss me. They kiss and...
You kiss and you don't know if he's awake or the end of the movie or whatever. At the end of the movie, yes, but you don't know if he comes back into reality or just a heavenly moment.
If this was real or
and that kind of ends the movie. Awesome. Yeah, this is the moment I wanted, where it kind of goes into like this angelical white type thing. I like that. I really like that. Again, never noticed it before, but went into the weeds of it, and it kind of a lot of stuff connected when I rewatched this. A lot of stuff, and this movie. First of all, you can put this movie on now. If we could put this on movie, and if we had time and we could show it, I could definitely put this movie on right now and have this couple of hours. Just it's even less than a couple of hours. How much is it?
Soup to nuts, like full end to credits, like an hour 55.
Yeah, it's hour 53 on this particular version. I'm not sure. It's not the extended cut, but I'm not sure the extended cut is.
That's why
it's like extra 30 seconds or something. You could put this on now and you just rewatch it again after we've talked about it, and you would still enjoy all the puns, all the one-liners, all the action, and all the sci-fi in this movie, regardless if you mauled it over 20 times, because it stands the test of time when it comes to futuristic, and we could have even put it as a dystopian future kind of a movie.
Very much so.
Because it all revolves around the original story from Philip K. Dick about Philip K. Dick, a proponent of psychedelics. What is reality? What is real? What is that world of between the real and the reality? And it kind of fits in with this action-packed extra story that they've tagged onto that sort of idea, and it just works. Just works. Guys, any extra things?
Look,
I absolutely agree with you on that. I think that it's a water cooler movie. This is one of those movies where you watch with your buddies and you sit there and you argue about it at the end. Was it a dream? Was it real? Was it this? Was it that? Was it a dream the whole time? Was he really Hauser? Was he not? And you can go into all kinds of cool discussions about what's what. It's just one of those types of movies. And that is what makes it eternal. We don't, like you said before, we don't know what time it is. We don't know when it happens. We never get a date. We get the idea that it's sometime in the future, but we don't know how far. And we have no idea if any of it really happened or not. So it makes it one of those eternal, let's talk about it movies. And when you introduce somebody to a movie like this that they've never seen, and they go, oh, it's Arnold, it's actioning, and I don't know. It's a lot more than that. So sit down, buckle up, get ready, because there's a lot of good shit in this movie. And it's not just Arnold. Sharon Stone, Michael Ironside. There's so many good people.
Yeah, Ronny Cox does a great job. And he's not the OCP guy from RoboCop. And this is why Kirkwood Swit didn't want to play Richter because he thought it was just Clarence Bodiger again.
Yeah.
It's really not. It's sort of the same dynamic, but it's sort of not. He's much more of an enforcer rather than just a suave kind of a rogue, criminal.
I'm a Michael Ironside fan, so I'm glad he's in this.
Yeah,
I'm glad he's in this. I'm glad they didn't go with
Kurt Wood-
yeah.
Kurt Smith.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I was going to say on the other side too is you could sell it as a movie that you could open up an elaborate discussion about, or you could also just sell it as, again, it's another one of those films that was really prevalent in the 90s where it has enough of that slapstick kind of comedic sense to it that you could really sit back and enjoy it. And one film that I like to compare it to in a lot of ways is The Fifth Element.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's a movie that you could sit back, you could turn, well, as I hate to utilize the phrase, but it's the best way to describe it, is quote unquote turn your brain off and just kind of enjoy the spectacle of it and be like, okay, that's a dumb joke.
Super
all
Green.
right.
Yeah. You can technically sit back and relax and like, oh, that's a great action sci-fi movie.
Well, that are also, you could have it on is it's on, like if you're just doing chores around the house, you could just turn around and watch a scene of it and go, I remember that.
Yeah, exactly. And the ultimate question is blondes or brunettes, right?
Right.
Oh, that was the other thing that I wanted to bring up was the one that Melina says when she just grabs Arnold's crotch.
Yeah.
He goes like, "What have you been feeding it?"
Been feeding this thing?
Bronze.
There's a thing I had it in my notes. I didn't mention it. The fact that when Arnold did the scene with Sharon Stone, he had a call from Maria Shriver, his wife, and Arnold said, "Well, we're both clothed in the scene." Arnold was not clothed in the scene at all.
I'm not surprised. I am not surprised.
Yeah, one of those fibs that Arnold used to do. Never mind. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank Loki. Thank you for joining us.
buddy.
Joining
Thank
us.
you for having me. Always good to be here.
All of it. And of course, ladies and gentlemen in the chat, go to Loki. His stuff is links for everywhere. Rumble, YouTube, all that stuff is in the description down below. And if it's not, if I made a boo-boo, I will have it on. Please go subscribe and you'll have the best opener to your morning ever with Loki's Mornings of Mischief. Because
Appreciate that.
if you want to start your morning good, this guy is your man. For us, next week, we're going to cover Starship Troopers with Jason Stanberg. He's coming back.
Yep.
I think I messed up his last name. Jason's back. And another Paul Verhoeven classic to just round up the entire month for us.
Would you like to know more?
Would you like to know more? Watch us next week. And remember, guys, hope is a good thing, maybe even the best of things, and no good thing ever dies. We'll see you next week. You're still here? It's over. Go home.